Good morning. So yesterday in the morning, I did a workout, kind of prodded by our coach Julie. Otherwise, I probably would have just carried on doing what I was doing. Because it's training for an event that I'm doing, I need to add in a bit more cardiovascular work, which is a bit different, a bit more training that, if I'm honest, I'm more uncomfortable with. It's more like, it seems like hard work. Whereas the resistance style exercise to me gets the results that I want in terms of body composition, in terms of health benefits, in terms of that look, in terms of the strength, but without it seeming like too much hard work. Anyway, the event that I've chosen to do, so I have no one else to blame for that, requires a different type of training and the more higher intensity stuff, longer duration stuff as well. So when our coach Julie kind of prodded me to make sure I got my workout in and set it all up for me to make it very like, go on then, have to do it, which is what we all need, including me. And that's why I'm sharing this as well. Like, I would not have done it had that not happened yesterday morning. Like, the workout be laid out, here you go, let's go, here's the timer, let's get going, 3 rounds, let's go. I would not have done it. So my point in this though is that for the rest of the day I was a lot more hungry than I normally am. It's a different type of exercise, and I did a lot of research in this back when I was doing my masters at Oxford Brookes University in diabetes and low calorie diets. And the low calorie diet side, I was looking a lot about food compensation. And when you do a research study, you have to review the whole literature to see if what you're doing is actually needed. So along within food compensation comes the role of exercise. And we know that some people, maybe me, seem to reward or perhaps feel hungrier, whether it is actually hungry. Obviously, we're not tracking my hunger hormones or not. So some people might habitually actually reward themselves for exercising more, and they enjoy the reward, which almost makes them feel hungry. That's one hypothesis. So I like eating jelly babies. So when I exercise, that justifies the habit, which is a real kind of negative, not that I have jelly, but I'm just giving that example. But the issue here is the compensation effect, and how a lot of people might train really hard and be hungrier than normal, then struggle to control their food intake. And we know that people really struggle when it comes to estimating how many calories they burn, unless they've got a watch with them, of course, and which can also be inaccurate. So let's say I do a higher intensity workout and it feels hard. If you perceive it as hard, you will rate it that you've burned way more calories than you actually have. Now, the problem with this is obviously you're now thinking, I've earned 300-400 calories, but actually you might have earned 200 calories, even if your watch says otherwise, because your heart rate might come down, your heat temperature comes down, you might fidget less, you might now not bother walking the dogs because you're a bit more achy than normal, you might sit down a bit more than you would stand, you might be less animated with your hands. All of these things that come into it are then playing a role here. When we're not aware of these things, we can just go in like, I'm just going to hit it hard, hit it hard, hit it hard. So I want to go for a few things that could be holding us back here and it could counteract this if it's happening. Now, I just want to make this clear that the overall research is still very heavily, even if there is food compensation, the benefits of physical activity and exercise outweigh not doing it, even in obesity management. So even in weight loss, it still says exercise is still better than not, even if you do compensate a little bit. Because over time, that habit is going to be super powerful in keeping it off. Muscle, in terms of mobility, movement, because the worse your mobility movement gets, obviously the less calories you're going to burn through everyday tasks anyway. The more the knees might start going, hips start going, and of course they might happen anyway without exercise, absolutely. But if we can almost treat it like prehab and build as much muscle around that, much strength as around that, we're going to be in a very good position. Now, so if I just go back to yesterday in terms of me going, right, why am I more hungry than normal here? What can I do to counteract that? Now, bear in mind, my goals aren't really to lose weight at all. They're actually more to maintain and actually performance related. I'm not too bothered about going, I'm going to have an extra portion of X, Y, Z. However, I am still conscious, I'm just human. Like summer, I actually want to be a bit leaner in the summer anyway. Not that I'm on a mad diet or anything. I'm just not going to go crazy on sugar, because I also know that for performance-wise, you don't need to go as crazy as often people say to carb load and things like that. Now, that said, so what can I do to counteract that? Well, I can make sure that, one, I'm busy. When I'm busy, I don't have time to really think too much about food. Number two, in the morning and lunchtime of my days, I'm so on it, busy with stuff, that I'm not really thinking about food and etc. So I make sure that I either fast or have more protein-based foods, like literally almost like a protein fast. Like if I eat, I'll have more protein-based stuff, whether that's like an omelette for breakfast, whether that's a protein shake guided. So it's quick, easy, I can just get on with my day, I'll have a coffee, of course. And this is then helping with the hunger side of things. Then at lunch and dinner, I again want to make sure, or dinner at least, I'm making sure I get protein in, but I'm more flexible. And actually, as time goes past, my hunger actually dissipates. It actually kind of goes a bit. Now, my point in this is how much of this is habit? How much of this is in my head that I've worked out hard? And I'm sharing this because this is what was going through my head yesterday. This is what I'm sharing in terms of yesterday. Because when I did kayaking back a few years ago, I found a similar thing. Like I was just getting a lot hungrier. It was almost like I didn't really enjoy some of the parts of the workout, so I'd be like, I've got to eat to get this going. And one of the ways to think about this is, let's get clear on this, is just sharing what the research shows on here. Where's your protein at? Where's your fibre intake at? Could you increase it a bit more? And in terms of hunger, how long does this urge last for? It's something we talk about a lot in terms of the comfort eating side of things, about urge surfing. Like, how long does this urge actually last for? Like, how long? A day? An hour? If we never know, then let's find out. So how can we find out? Well, when that urge comes next time, where is it? Is it on your shoulder? Is it on your head? Is it on your arm? Is it on your chest? Is it on your leg? Really get curious about this urge. And we can start to really feel, okay, how am I feeling right now? Rather than just hiding, not being comfortable with our own feelings, because it is uncomfortable. We'd rather just, just watch Champions League, eat, watch some TV and just eat, rather than be, what's going on in my head right now? And actually slowing down on this. Didn't expect to get that deep in this conversation about food compensation and food reward, but it's an interesting area, and it is deep, if I'm honest, and it can be quite habitual. Like if you always eat breakfast at 8 a.m, you'll always get hungry at 8 a.m. If you decide not to have breakfast on 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row, you might end up not feeling as hungry after a while. But these are just a few points to consider. And in terms of food reward, you might just want to consider that if you can try and keep your meals as the same as possible, maybe increase your protein and fibre if you are going to increase to help with that hunger. In terms of hunger in general, like sparkling water, fizzy water, coffee, are all things that help with that as well. But at the same time, you've got to look at your goals. If your goal is performance-based, it's going to be different to the weight loss side of things. If your goal is mobility and fitness and aging well and making sure you're stronger and your muscles in place, again, the goal is slightly different here. We want to be prioritizing protein more than ever, maybe even carbohydrates, because they are protein sparing. Different conversation. But again, I can justify food compensation with some science. Okay, well, carbohydrates are protein sparing, which means that the protein will go towards the recovery and the muscle. I could go on a hill all day. It's been a Sunday morning tangent. Maybe I should call this one Coffee with Matt rather than Morning Chat. What do you reckon? Let me know. Anyway, if you want more information about our Kickstart program starting in June, do comment below of Kickstart and I'll see you soon. I hope that helped. I hope that just gets you thinking a bit, because actually it's all well and good me giving you specific advice, but it might not be relevant to your situation. So I'd rather ask you questions here. Do you compensate? Do you reward yourself for exercise? How does it feel when you do it? How do you know you do that? Do you get an urge after exercise to kind of reward yourself? Do you justify food after by saying, well, I exercised? What's the goal of the exercise session? Anyway, hope that helps. Any questions, as always, just let me know, and I will see you soon. Take care. Hey, Joanna. Hope you found this helpful. Any questions, just let me know. Take care.